if you don't have a VR headset, you can still work on your project and develop without an actual attached headset. Let's say you're working on a Mac at the school labs or working at home where you don't have a VR headset. You can add one more element to this project, and that's the XR device simulator. So inside our assets samples, XR interaction toolkit, version, and then the XR device simulator, we can drag that prefab into our project. So when that game object is marked active and we hit play, then we get a sort of first-person shooter style view of what we're seeing in the game tab. But it takes a little bit of setup to actually make sense. So by default, it's showing you both eyes, which is what would happen in a headset too, but it's a little confusing just on a regular screen. So I can pull this down and just pick one of the eyes. So now I'm looking through the left eye. We will also need to create a locomotion system. So we're going to right click in our hierarchy, go to XR, and then choose locomotion system action based. So what the locomotion system does is allows the XR rig to move in one way or another, and the default locomotion system is a teleport system where you point your controller using sort of like a laser pointer style UI and point to where you want to teleport to and then click to teleport. And then the joystick allows you to turn 45 degrees, like in a kind of snap turn, it's called. Well, I'm going to not use these methods as our default. So I want to uncheck teleportation provider and uncheck snap turn. And instead we're going to add continuous move provider action based and continuous turn provider action based. The reason that I want to do that is even if in the end we want to make a teleporting system for our actual headset experience, for the mock headset, I think it feels much more natural and expected to work with it sort of in a first-person shooter style input. So the last setup step of this locomotion system is we're going to assign movement to the left controller. So we'll have that be checked and we'll uncheck the right controller. We're going to assign turning to the right controller. So that means we uncheck the left turn. So that's just sort of like the standard for VR input, is that one hand does the movement, the other hand does the turning. And then you have to learn the controls of this. And I've got to say, Unity doesn't make it as easy as you might hope. If you hold right click, you can move the head around. And as you see in the scene window, that's the camera moving up and down and around. If you zoom with the scroll wheel, you can move back and forth sort of in like an inching back and forth kind of a way. But if we hold shift, now we can use W and S to move back and forth. A and D are going to strafe left and right. And Q and E are going to rotate. So now we can kind of rotate around. And so I'm currently holding right click and shift and moving with W, A, S, D, Q, and E to sort of move towards or away from any of my stuff. So I'm finding the movement that we're currently simulating a little slow. It's sort of like taking forever to walk over to that sphere. So I'm going to go under Locomotion System, and in the continuous move provider, there is a move speed parameter that we can change. So I'm going to double that, and the turn speed down here is 60. I'm going to call that 90 instead. The trick with this is these are going to change not only when we're in the mock headset, but also in the real headset. And I know for some viewers, VR movement, especially if it's continuous movement like this, not teleport, but joystick based, it can make people's bellies get a little ill, you know, there's a little bit of a seasick feeling that can happen. So what might feel really comfortable in a normal flat first-person style walking movement could actually be much too fast in the real headset. So you just want to make yourself aware of where these things are to change so that we can easily change them when we're kind of mocking up our experience like this versus when we actually want to experience it on a headset and make sure it's comfortable for our viewers. The other thing that we haven't really talked about yet is the controllers themselves. And by default, there is no icon for the controller in this XR rig. I can show you how to put in a real general placeholder icon for now, but in a different tutorial, I will show you how to have actual hands that we can animate. But for now, we're going to go to our XR Origin twirl open camera offset, and then we'll find the left hand and right hand controllers. And we're just going to child a cube underneath each of them as a placeholder. So I'm going to make a cube, and I will double click on it to zoom in. I'm going to hit R on my keyboard and kind of shrink it way down, and then I'm going to draw it out in one direction so it sort of looks vaguely like a remote control or something like that. When I'm happy with it, I can also duplicate it to the right hand controller as well. So we've got a cube on each of them, and now if we hit play, we should be able to see those cubes here move when we take control of them. So you can take control of the controller by holding left shift is going to move the left controller around, and I'm moving it with my mouse right now. I can use my scroll wheel to move it back or forward. It'll move with the whole rig if I use my keyboard. But if I click my middle button, I can also rotate which way it's pointing. To control the right controller, I can hold space, and it's all the same controls. Finally, if we move forward into making some kind of interactivity, you can use the G key to simulate grabbing, and the left click on the mouse to simulate the trigger button on the controllers. So I know that's complicated controlling system because you're trying to control a head and both hands and the buttons that are available to both of those hands on the controllers, all using your keyboard and mouse. But given that we can develop for VR headset and controllers without even having VR headset and controllers, this is Unity's best solution to how to kind of mock that all up.